Hey, this is Justin from Ladia Central, and today I'm going to show you how to make a HyperDoc and a multimedia text set. These are two really awesome options that give you excellent ways to organize materials in your classroom and student responses, and not just giving a blank Google document with intention to write an essay. Here is an excellent website on the Google Teacher Academy that focuses just on HyperDocs. Let's take a look at their graphic organizer ideas to give you a good picture of how you can use Google Documents in your classroom. Here the teacher created a clearly defined space for student answers and responses and color-coded them by name. Here we have a higher level activity where students will read this article, then come back and place their answers accordingly, almost like just your regular paper pencil graphic organizer. Similarly, here we have a place for text-based evidence from the article that the students are required to read. That's conveniently linked inside their digital graphic organizer. As you see, colors and tables are in the key motifs. Now, multimedia text set is just about the same thing, except we link different types of media. Not just web pages and articles, but videos, Google Slides, visual diagrams, flowcharts, and anything else that can be digital. Here we even have a photo of a textbook to make it digital. Now let's look at some examples we've seen before in the course to give you a little better understanding on how you can use some extra features. Here's a way to differentiate between students and give them a choice between activities. And this was designed for a first grade classroom, hence all the pictures and clear visuals. Here's one of my first HyperDocuments that did not survive the video feed cut out on my Google Classroom session. But as you see, I have a HyperDoc with 3 links, and each link goes to Teen Tribune on a different Lexile level. So all these students can read the same exact article, respond in the same place if I want to, that's optional, and have a different experience with the same information. Okay, as you see, that Lexile level was on a K through 4 level. Now this third group is much higher. So it's a good way to package differentiation and package internet tools for the students to use and read, instead of posting a whole bunch of different assignments. And again, we are using color coding at the bottom to facilitate where the students place their answers and where they should be looking. Here is another excellent example where we're using mathematics instead of just reading and writing. I went to Insert and I selected Equation. Now I can actually type equations into my document, similar to a lot of online testing where students will have to work out math problems on the computer with an equation builder to show work, and they may not be used to that. So that's just another plus for Google Documents. We can also use voice dictation. Tools, voice typing, and click the button. I'm speaking with my voice. This is all free, period. You just click the microphone to stop. I also want to demonstrate some of the other features that people may not be aware of. Firstly, you see this document's been marked up a whole lot. We certainly went through and dissected the text together as a classroom. Now, you can set any document back in time before edits took place. In fact, clicking on that revision history is a good way to see if students are working their assignments periodically as they should be. Here, instead of a writing project, we have a reading project, which is great because we can use commenting similar to sticky notes. There's my note, and it highlights everything for me. I have a link to a Google form which asks specific questions about this assignment. I'm going to use the tab resize extension to make my assignments mirror side by side so it looks more like an online assessment. I can mark up and look for answers within my Google document on the left, and I have my multiple choice responses on the right, similar to an online test. And I can keep using comments to further dissect the test or analyze this text with my classroom. And right before I get started for showing you some tips on creating your own multimedia sets in HyperDocs, I want to show you this great tool from the same website that gives you a collection of teacher-created lessons that spans across multiple grade levels. For example, here's one on history. Lastly, here is my guide on making a HyperDoc. Now, my first tip is using the built-in research tool you will find under Tools and Research. This is one of the best kept secrets inside of Google Documents. I can search for an image and then drag and drop it into my HyperDoc and never have to leave the document itself. To use a table, we go to Insert, Tables, and then we click how many rows and how many columns based on their grid that we need. I'm just going to pick a generic amount and fill it out. Now to add color, we simply highlight the cells we want to be a certain color, we right click, click Table Properties, then we change the background color to what we want. I'm going to choose a different color for the bottom two rows. Another great tip is to use the link button, and I'll show you a quick example. Instead of just copying and pasting a long URL like this, instead you can select the text you want and click this link button. Type out or copy and paste the URL link here, and that word will be hyperlinked. So you can describe what the URL is and take up substantially less space at the same time. It's a must for multimedia text sets, and it's pretty much a must for a regular HyperDoc as well. The research toolbar is a great way to do citations. I can search on Google for a website, or I can just copy and paste my text. Here I already have MLA selected. I clicked citation, and now we see it's cited right at the bottom of the page with a footnote. An instant citation. Of course, I can search Google Scholar, images, quotations, dictionary terms. It even looks at some of the information I have on the page already, so I can do a quick Google search by clicking one of these names, and I can insert a link, and it will shorten it on occasion, and I can add my citation. So I just added a link of a web page, and I cited it back to back. And you can also type with your voice. So many great reasons to use Google Documents. Don't forget that teachers can always add comments, or peers can always add comments, just by selecting the information and clicking the comment button. You can have 50 people editing a Google document at one time, so you may want to have the class turn on suggestion mode. As you see, when I type with suggestion mode turned on, nothing gets final until I click the check mark. If I click the X, all the suggested changes to the document are erased. And it's a good idea to use the built-in font because it allows you to make a table of contents. And I'll show you an example. Right here it's set to heading 1. I'll change it to heading 2 so you can see it'll give you a subheading. So I'm changing 5, 6, and 7 from heading 1 to 2. Anywhere you want your table of content to appear, you click Insert, Table of Content. And you see 5, 6, and 7 are skewed to the side, similar to an outline because they were a different font size for heading 2. But every time I click that table of content, it will jump me to that exact part of the web page. So using title, heading 1, heading 2, and all the built-in headings and font sizes will let Google Documents do a quick table of contents so your students and yourself can jump around on large hyperdocuments with ease. With these awesome tips, you'll be ready to construct your own relevant hyperdocuments or multimedia text for your classroom needs and get a richer experience, and maybe eventually have students post their own images and citations inside the document. Thank you so much. Make sure to check out the descriptions below, where we'll have a link to our resource guide.